Very good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Lyceum evening coming to you from the Paul Christian Spiritualist Church, Paul, Dorset in the UK. Got a lovely guest for us tonight, Ayrisha Webber from
Exeter.
She's up here for the weekend, so I said, right, well, that means you're going to be doing the Lyceum night. This is the price you pay when you stay overnight at Paul Church. Our rates are very good.
Oh, excellent.
Ayrisha, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. As you're aware, with our Lyceum nights, we talk about anything to do with spiritualism.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems to be very much in the energy at the moment. Excuse me, when I just get in a bit more comfortable. We're talking about the state of spiritualism today. But in order to understand that, let's go back a wee bit. Where did you start off coming into the spiritualist movement?
Into the movement probably about 40 years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah, it must be.
Okay.
A little bit more, yeah.
So, a bit more.
I suppose I was...
Bloodstone.
Yes. I mean, I was always one that saw as a child.
Yeah.
That saw in a way I didn't realise that what I was seeing was spirit, because to me they were so solid, they were like real people. It seemed to disappear a bit when I was in my early teens, but in my latter teens it came back with a vengeance in a way, and it frightened me because I was seeing so much and I wasn't really understanding what was going on. I am aware from family history now that one of my grandmothers was an extremely good medium.
All right.
And the other side was an extremely good line of tarot readers, etc.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, but it wasn't talked about as I was growing up. In my early teens, we used to have seances in the house, or the grown-ups did, and us kids used to play in the corner. And all I really remember was it was something you didn't tell the neighbours under pain of mother's wrath. And the curtains were drawn and everything was done behind closed doors.
Yeah. Carry on.
I remember once one of my mother's closest friends, who I actually spent a lot of time with growing up, we were there one day and I only knew her as Peggy, and I only knew her as her married name. And I was sat on the floor one day and I promptly came out. They were having this seance and I promptly came out with this lady's full name and her maiden name and was promptly dispatched out the room. But later on I went to Exeter Church, where I was last Sunday actually, and I was talking about it then. The first time I went there, I was sat there watching this little girl running up and down the aisle. And it was only when the medium mentioned about this little girl, I realised there was only myself and the medium could actually see this little girl running up and down. I thought, that's it, not going back there again. But it's always been part of my life. Yeah. It's always been part of my life. It's been a long journey to where I am now. A lot of sitting in circles, a lot of changes, a lot of sitting in circles, going away from it, coming back to it. But I think if spirit want you to work and want you to be there, they'll always pull you back.
Well, I have a different philosophy. They give you the opportunity.
They give you the opportunity, yeah.
At the end of the day, it's our decision.
We do have free will, but they give you the opportunity to come back. My own passion, really, I suppose, is I'd like to go back to home circles and closed circles, and people coming in that are coming in really because they want to learn.
Yeah.
Not coming out for a drop-in night where they come out for a social night and they're not really, their heart's not really in it. They're interested, but they don't want to put any of the work in.
Spiritualist for 90 minutes a month.
Yes.
Yeah. And not being demeaning, but yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. although spiritualism is easy, very easy to follow, and it is a way of life, and it should be a big part of your life, not just popping in on a Sunday. For me, the divine service is the most important thing of the week, because the thing I love is the philosophy, not just for me to stand and give it, but to listen to other people. I often go to other people's services on a Sunday just to listen to the philosophy. And it seems we've become a bit of, dare I say, consumer spiritualists, where we pay our money and we pop in and we get very disgruntled if we haven't got a message when we go out. It's a bit like going to Tesco's. And that saddens me in a way. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the clairvoyant nights, and there are some centres where I do some beautiful clairvoyant nights which are started and finished with the love of spiritualism, and those are very good. But there are some, as I say, where I've been to, and it's a bit like going to Tesco's. If you don't get your message, you go and complain, and I feel that's very sad, because that's not just what it's about. Right. The evidential message is really important. The evidence is important, but so is everything else in the way we live our lives.
You say you do very good evening dems. I've read the reviews, so I might disagree with you there. That was a joke.
I used to love you, Laurie. What a thing to say to
me. You've touched on, without talking about this today, you've touched on quite a few key elements there. So you came into the movement 40 years ago. What was your education path? How did you get? All right, it's one thing to go to a church, see a medium, and keep getting the message, you should be up here, which we do see often, and sometimes a little bit open to debate.
Went to various circles, which at the time were very much meditation circles rather than practice circles.
Yeah.
And you sat in silence for an hour and a half, which Laurie will agree, only with great difficulty. For me,
my doubts.
I actually coughed all the way through one, and my eyes were streaming, and the circle leader afterwards said to me, got a load of stuff you need to sort out before you go any further, and stuff you need to say. And he was right. For me, I needed more practical things, more exercises, things that came to a conclusion, things that gave me evidence, that showed me where I needed to be going. Yes, I do meditate, probably not as much as I should do, but I do maintain 5 minutes of good quality meditation is better than an hour of sitting when you're thinking about, should I go to do the dishes? Shall I pick the kids up from school? And has the washing machine finished?
Yeah. But sorry, I'm going to stop you there. I'm bored now.
I do apologise.
It's a long weekend, everybody, seriously. The drinks cabinet there is going to get seriously hurt after this. You say you wanted to get on and do stuff, but then also you were saying about you sat in the meditation circles. Just to give a little bit sort of like background and understanding for people watching. I know we've got some wonderful mediums in the room tonight, so it's lovely to see you all in with us tonight. Thank you. But also people watching these going forward. And a lot of people dip into these things because we've got such a resource now online, yes. Not just here, but everywhere. You know, we can go into these things. You said about the meditation, which is a very passive energy.
Yes.
Now here, I'm going to cite Paul because I can, without risk of being shouted at. He says, knowing that they're going to shout at me if I say something wrong, then. We started off our open circle here at Paul. Now, I am very strict.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put a nice word in, but actually I'm not going to put a nice word in. I'm very strict about it. in my understanding and the way that I was trained, and sounds similar to yours, you have two types of circle. You have a meditation circle, which is a passive energy.
Yes.
It's a still energy. It's going within energy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the working circles.
Yes.
Which is an active energy, which is absolutely great. So people can start to comprehend this, because if you're having a meditation circle, and I will stop people from giving any messages in or
as
after
is right
the
and
circle.
proper.
Yeah, because we are setting off with that intent. It is a passive energy. You are sat there to receive from spirit, not receive messages, just to receive that peace, that moment, that blending with spirit. You know, we do have, and we, as in churches, centres over the last 30 years, have probably created this image that if you're going to sit in circle, you're going to see spirit, or you're going to become a medium, or you're going to become a healer. And actually, to me, that's not what sitting in circle is about. If you're going down the development route, that's absolutely fine. And you should be, and the key word is development. So to develop, it means you're enhancing what you already have, not what you haven't got.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this thing about I can make you a medium in 6 weeks, and think, crack on. Have fun with that one.
And sometimes when people first come in circle, they get stuff, and they might have been getting stuff for a long time, but they don't always understand how they're getting it. They don't always understand it, how to interpret it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, they don't always trust it.
Yeah. And also there is the problematic point then. Part of what I'm saying about the circles is if you are in a meditation circle, and it is that passive energy, spirit work with your spirit work with your imagination, very much so. But there is that fine line between what is your imagination and what is impinged. And sometimes in an open and liberal energy, I've seen this. I walked away. This is one of the things why I'm being a bit pedantic about the circle.
Yeah.
When I first started sitting in open circles, I walked away from 2 because, in my opinion, at that time, I wasn't good enough because all these people were giving off all these messages. Well, as my education understanding grew, I went back to those times in my mind and actually realised an awful lot of what was being said was absolute nonsense. But it was not picked up upon. It was maybe not encouraged all the time, but certainly not educated in dealing with it.
The other thing is, in running a circle, and I'm talking development circle where you're active, not everybody in that circle wants to become a platform reader or even do private reading. Some people, which I have worked with, and some for quite some years, are there for their own personal development. And that is the thing, no matter whether we become mediums or working mediums or not, we've got to work on our own personal development. Before you start work and you get up on a platform or even do a private reading, you need to know yourself. You need to know how you're feeling. You need to clear your mind and know what's in your mind, to put it one side so that you know what's coming in is not you, not your imagination. And making it clear for it to come in.
No, very, very good point. You just said a phrase, know yourself. And I think that's probably a phrase that is used, but again, not understood, because it's, again, people apply that to know yourself, as in reading that as know your mediumship, but it's not. It's
No.
about knowing yourself. It's your own self-awareness. And once you get that, and talking to many platform mediums over the years, it's quite a rocky path sometimes in personal life, often to the platform.
Yes. It doesn't always leave much time for personal life. But aside from that, if somebody else is going to be in your life, they've got to be able to understand your journey. Yeah. And people don't always.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one.
I find my terminology for it is we grow out of people and situations.
Yes, exactly.
Because we change.
Yes. But then we should. The thing is about spiritualism, it's a way of life. It's a living thing. So we should be changing, we should be evolving, and we should be learning. I'm very grateful for what I learned 30 years ago and even 20 years ago. But it's not necessarily what we need now, especially in the philosophy.
Yeah.
It's got to be relevant to our lives now.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So just pick up a few. Welcome everybody who's joining us. Lovely Li Chu. Now I have actually met Li Chu now, just for the once, very briefly, but I absolutely love her. She's great. She's got bags of personality.
She's also, because I've worked with Li, quite an amazing medium. But it is her confidence. But she is an incredible medium that always brings through very, very good evidence that can be recognised. She's very much, but I'm also aware she's an incredibly good healer as well. Yeah. Incredible healer.
Yeah, well, that's very evident in her energies.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see, now this is interesting. Lee's saying she lacks the confidence there, and you put the comment in there, love, so you're going to get picked on. You've got nobody to blame but yourself.
I love you really, Lee.
Yeah, you never cooked me any of your wonderful dishes when I was down there, so there's no grudge. Anyway, Lee's saying she lacks confidence. You're saying she's a marvellous evidential medium and lacks the confidence there. But what is to say at the end of the day that is going to be the pathway?
Exactly.
It's about building. If we have this phrase about being our own mediums, and sometimes that gets a little bit lost in translation, because people think being their own medium is going to be standing there talking to yourself saying, I've got your mother here.
I've actually been on only a couple of occasions to, Lee runs a healing group, and I've been there 2 or 3 times, and the energy in that group and the way she runs it and how she is absolutely phenomenal.
Brilliant.
So
do you know what?
Maybe
with that gift. Sorry, everybody. Anybody who's got a cat will understand that you can open the window 8 times, and on the 9th time, she actually wants to come in. Anyway, moving on. That is phenomenal. This brings up quite an interesting train of thought. I think that A, the churches and centres, and B, probably more importantly, ourselves are the ones that heap on the pressure to become a platform or an evidential medium.
Yes, I agree.
When, okay, there may be the capabilities there and the abilities. Healing medium, evidential medium, you are working in that same framework. However, it is the route, and it's only a question we can answer for ourselves. Is that route to becoming an evidential medium, so working on a platform, is that actually what we want, or is that actually what we feel we should be doing because that's what's
expected? Yeah. And again, this goes back to people that are in a development group that go just not to become platform mediums, but to develop their own spiritual being, their own
their own sensitivity.
Yeah. Yes.
Their insensitivity. You know, as working medium, you would agree. When spirits say through us, I love you, you're not hearing, oh, tell her I love her. You just get whoosh, which you then have to translate into wording. And I love the way these things work, because this is exactly what we're talking about. Keith, good evening, sir. Keith Morn. Got a friend from London watching on here for the first time. I've been working with her for a while. She lost her mum. Sorry to hear that, my darling. A while back, and is now joyously pregnant with a young daughter. She wants to understand spirit and wants to feel her mum's presence. She wants her mum to come through to her and us unsure how to encourage this. Please advise her. I have very briefly spoken to this lady there, Keith, and I do feel she is actually watching tonight. But this is what we're talking about. You know, to have that evidence is beautiful, given to you by a third party, an evidential medium. But when we're talking about our own self-development, you know, what better than just to feel spirit around you without having to seek other people's validation?
Yeah.
You know, I walk around here and I'm chatting and laughing to myself. I did it through the Arndale the other day. Seriously, I had a thought and spirit said something and it was so funny, and I just burst out laughing and suddenly realised that that may look a little bit odd to people, but I was just quite comfortable with it.
Doesn't matter. That's the other thing. Other people's opinions
are not our business.
Are not our business. Their validation is not required on our life. What we've got is between us and spirit. And yes, it's nice to have the third party come in a medium and give us the evidence. But in real terms, everybody can speak to spirit. Everybody can speak to their relatives. And sometimes, you know, they just miss the signs when they speak back to us. I've done it myself. Our lives are so busy, sometimes we just don't see the signs or take on board. And sometimes we put them down afterwards to coincidence. But if we really thought about it, it's not. It's spirit.
That's it, because we doubt it. Being silly. Yeah. You know, and funny enough, where are we? End of January. I've had quite a few communications from people either in church, online, or through email or whatever. I'm just saying about over the Christmas time. Yeah, I love it when people say to me things like, "This is going to sound odd," and I think, "Well, go on then," because if you actually score on my odd scale, I will be, "Yeah, this is good." But they're saying about over Christmas, we felt our loved ones, we felt my father, we felt my wife, we felt our son. You know, what's going on? It's really easy. They love you. It's Christmas. Your thoughts, whether conscious or not, are going out to them.
One of the other things you touched on, Laurie, was the timeline. You know, you see it on there sometimes. Do a 6-week course with us and you'll be a platform medium at the end of it with a certificate. Now, I noticed further back in the comments, a lovely lady, Marie Hines, said she sat for 9 years. Yeah, and I can't remember how many years I sat for, but it was a long, long time before I got up on platform. And in all fairness, the first time I got up, I was literally thrown up in an emergency. And I was terrified.
That's most of your service.
Yes, quite. But the timeline is different for all of us. But the thing is, I think sometimes, what is the rush to do it in 6 or 12 weeks?
Yeah.
How can we? It might take 6 months of work for one person to find their own self and their own awareness, whereas maybe somebody else can do it in a couple of months. It's a different individual journey for each and every one of us, and we've got to go with what's right for us.
Yeah, Marie Hines just saying there, I was thrown up too. Yep, ditto, darling. It does seem to be the way. Lovely Phil Morley. Hello, sir. How are you? we shouldn't pressure people coming into spiritualism to do one thing or another. Let them develop as healer, medium, or speaker, etc. If they want to. I personally found that I really enjoyed chairing services and giving the philosophy through addresses rather than the mediumship side. Yeah. And do you know what? I will go one step on with that, Phil, because we do, running a church, I'm qualified to say this, we do get not a big percentage, a small percentage of people coming in going, well, I'm a medium and I need to learn how to use it. But actually, people are just searching for something. So we take slightly different tack down here on Paul on the education, just getting the fundamentals in about the movement, some of the history, some of the greats, not only of the past, but of today as well. And just building from there. I said in a conversation the other night, I said, we've slipped up a bit here.
Excuse me.
It's like if you build a house, you put your foundations in first.
Yeah.
But our approach to development is sort of like trying to start building the first floor first. Come to a workshop, learn how to be a medium.
Yeah.
Come to a course, learn how to be a medium.
One of the things that Phil says there is he enjoys chairing and giving the philosophy.
Yeah.
Now, some of the services that I've done, which I've really enjoyed, which really is old school now and how it used to be done, is I've worked with another medium who's done the reading the address and I've done the clairvoyance, or vice versa. The lovely Jack Eklund said once when he was here,
Get out.
he didn't say that. He said, in the UK, you put your mediums under a lot of pressure, work-wise. And I think we do. I think we do.
Yeah, as a chairman, in an hour service, I probably take 9 minutes of that service, and 51 minutes is about, you've got to do your prayer.
Yeah.
You've got to do your reading, you've got to do your address, you've got to do your evidential.
And when I've shared the service in the way I've said, the prayers have been shared. One person's done one person's done the other. I don't know quite when it shifted into just having the one medium, but I think it's to do with money and paying. I don't know people that charge for divine services, but I've done a lot of voluntary work over the years for a lot of organisations, and none of them have expected me not to make a profit, but not to be out of pocket. And especially in the current climate, people can't afford to be out of pocket. Yeah. They need their travel expenses and things. And it's no shame in taking them either.
Yeah. And it's no shame talking about that either. But we're just going a little bit off track there. Yeah. Lovely Julie Caswell, wonderful one more. I'm not a platform medium, do not want to be. I work with spirit all the time in many different ways. Being a platform medium is not the ultimate goal. Yeah. Well done. Spiritualism, this is what we probably are neglecting within our churches and centres. Spiritualism isn't about talking to the dead. It's about living this life. Yes.
And how we live this life.
Yeah.
How we live this life. One thing I loved when I first came into spiritualism as well, it said it accepted people from all religions and all walks of life, and the doors were open to everyone. And I think that's really, really important, that the doors are open to everyone.
Yeah. No, I agree. I often describe spiritualism when you've got people coming in who are of a faith or a religion themselves already. I said you will find things in spiritualism which will supplemental to your religion.
Yes.
We can look at the Bible in many different ways. Some people go, it says you got to do this, you got to do that. But there are other parts of the Bible which you actually look at as a spiritualist and go, oh my God, that's trance, that's transfiguration, that is physical mediumship, and it's there.
In the Quran, they believe that We've got two little angels on our shoulder, one on each side, one recording all the good deeds and one recording all the bad. And when you go, wherever you're going, I expect he is. But when we pass over, we are totally responsible for our own behaviour and how we've lived our lives. And as personal responsibility, which is one of the tenements of spiritualism. And I said to somebody who was working within the spiritualist movement once, I find personal responsibility quite hard sometimes, in the sense I do have a bit of short fuse if somebody's rammed with me with a shopping trolley. I'm not always very gracious about it. No, I'm not. I do get cross when somebody's pulled out in front of me.
Really?
Yes. And I say to myself, come on, you don't know what's going on in that person's life. Maybe they're having a really bad time of it. And you know nothing about what's going on in other people's life. And this is another thing that we're losing at the moment, is tolerance. Everybody's got a right to do what they want, and nobody's got a responsibility for their actions. And it cannot go on like that. People have got to take responsibility for their own actions and their behaviour towards other people.
Yeah, and understand if you say something that's provocative, not to scream because you don't like the response. You know, if you're going to say something's provocative, you are entering into a debate.
Yes.
But unfortunately, in our society at the moment, it seems to be debate is being replaced by diatribe. But anyway, that's the social commentary. Can we get back to spiritualism?
Yes,
before we're taken off air and both arrested. But yeah, it's, you know, when people say, what is it like to be a spiritualist? It's quite difficult to encapsulate that in words. It's quite difficult to put that over in a cohesive sentence. Because it's one of these, it's a journey.
Yes.
For everybody. And again, as I cite the room tonight, there's a good number of working mediums and a good number of mediums as well within the room. If we'd all wanted, we want the answer. People come in, and, you know, I want the answer to this. And it's quite, you've got to be quite tactful on explaining, well, actually, your answer is going to be different to my answer. But if I give you the answer that you want to run ahead with, you haven't done the underpinning learning of it. And again, this comes back to the education side.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is very sadly lacking. You know, we've got this wonderful digital age that has now opened up for us. And we're seeing quite the renaissance within spiritualism, which is absolutely wonderful, because we've got the opportunity now to engage in evenings like this and many others. There are hundreds of videos, if not thousands, of some of the greats of the past, and it's so interesting to hear their talk and their philosophies. We were listening to one today that was 20 years old and saying exactly the same thing as what we're saying about the movement today.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly the same thing. So, you know, there's nothing new. But we've now got the ability to come together. We've now got the ability to have our thoughts, our beliefs, our practices maybe challenged in a way. Or maybe endorsed by thinking, oh my God, they do that as well. Thank goodness, you know, because I thought I was nuts. Most people do think I'm nuts, but that's fine.
Very kind, very nice kind of nuts.
But yeah, we have got this opportunity now, and we're finding our engagement nights with people here at Poole are really successful.
Yes.
And also, really interestingly, the amount of new people coming in for these nights and just talking, hearing somebody's thoughts on a particular subject or whatever, engaging with questions and answers, and talking afterwards. And that I found really refreshing.
I've noticed with the churches at home and some of the centres, we're getting a lot of younger people in, but we're getting a lot of younger people as well with families coming in.
but are you keeping them?
Some of them, yes.
Yeah.
Some of them are
That's
staying.
the key.
That's the thing. Some of them are staying, and I think that is really nice.
Yeah.
But then when I first came into the movement, I heard somebody said to me, "Oh, we've got to get the young people in, otherwise the church is going to close."
Yeah,
Well, we're
exactly
40
the same.
years down the line, they're still saying we've got to get the young people in because the church is going to, and the churches are still open.
Yeah.
Everyone I've ever been to, except for one, which
Yeah.
was a dear little church in Romford. Yeah, the same questions and the same things are just being talked over.
Again, because we are a vibrant religion, a vibrant philosophy, and we need to be part of today's world. Because if we're not, we are going to be left in yesteryear. And this is what we're seeing. Not the demise, but the falling attendances with the Orthodox religions, who are still saying the same tenement as they did 2,000 years ago. People are going, yeah, that's lovely, but how does that help me when I'm walking out this door?
Yeah.
Our philosophy, our religion offers that opportunity. And I'm not talking about, going to see guidance, that's a word I have issues within our movement, but just in that philosophy, because the voice of spirit coming through, those people are practiced and versed and giving the addresses and sharing that philosophy. That is an amazing form of mediumship, which just grows and grows and grows. Some of the ones I was brought up with, I used to just sit there and go, wow, wow, that is awesome. It did not change my life from that first hearing of it. I didn't have this sudden epiphany and change my life. But over the years, it's obviously nudged and nudged and nudged and nudged. I do actually pull myself now when I walk away from people and think, yeah, I could have done that a bit better. Maybe that was a bit harsh, but they deserved it. No.
The thing is as well,
it's their own fault.
With the philosophy, if, as we believe, we're here to learn, and spirit is the intelligent force it is, which is far more intelligent, I hope, than we are down here, they would want us, they would want us to evolve. They would want us to move forward. It's like water in a puddle. If it doesn't move, it goes stagnant. Whereas water in a stream that's flowing is always fresh. And that's how the philosophy needs to be, always fresh.
And the education side. I will keep banging on about this. We need to engage with our congregations. There's no use them coming in week after week for a message.
No.
I'm sorry, that is spade, and as you said, still energy, and it's not going to produce much. We need to be able to engage with people. We need to get over a little bit of the history of the movement. Understand that this isn't, you just walked in the door and this is it. This has been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yes.
It's been a great mover and shaker within our own country's politics.
Yes.
In the world of science. We've got roots in all these things. And just making people sort of like go, oh, wow, I want to know more. And just to grow that educational base on things. So, anyway, Mr. Roberts, what have you written? I've not read this before I put it up there, so you better be kind. Tony Roberts, hello, sir. Talking about mediumship, could you please explain what the phrase alike attracts alike means when we work linked with spirits? Also, when sitting in circle, who ensures that there is a circle doorkeeper and what protection is given for those who are sitting in circle by the doorkeeper? Thank you.
Well, as regards doorkeepers, personally for me, I rely on my own doorkeeper, who I have quite a good relationship with. And I know in the beginning you've got to find out who he is. Or she. All right. I don't think anybody can tell you who they are. You have got to find them through your own journey. And it is wonderful when another medium gives you evidence of what you already believe and know, to confirm it. All circles should be opened in prayer and closed in prayer. And for me, that prayer to the spirit world should be enough.
Do you not think that the fundamental to a circle is the intent?
It's the intent of what the circle's about. Yes.
It's the person who sets it up.
Yes.
And I think this will probably cover both your parts there, Tony. That if, I'm quite happily to share this. I was called out to a circle that had opened up a portal in next door's living room, and honestly, the words despair and discouraged were very prominent in my mind. I'm all for home circles. I think that is going to be actually a bit of a saviour if we allow it and approach it intelligently for our movement, going back to home circles. If you're going to become a mechanic, you're not going to run out, buy a load of spanners and then start taking engines apart, because you've got to learn your trade before you do, hopefully. Might be the last mechanic, I think maybe not, but anyway, moving on.
You mean the fact I haven't seen my car for 3 weeks since it went
probably
into the
something to do
garage?
with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you learn your trade.
Yeah.
So your circle leaders, they are the ones that will put the intent in the circle. They will sit with spirit and say, I would like it to go this way, but I'm open to nudges. If things don't quite go the way, I go back and go, okay, what's changed? But where you're talking about like attracts like, again, this is probably all under the same umbrella, Tony, as well as what your protection is. Well, when we use the word protection, we start delving into that realm of antagonists. And actually, the antagonist or protagonist in circle conditions or any altered state of mind is the person's own moral and ethical sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I wanted to if I wanted to be wealthy, I keep trying. It's really not working, but never mind. If I wanted to be wealthy and then launch myself as, say, an XYZ medium. And I would make sure that what XYZ phenomena would happen if I had to actively encourage it with the use of a water bottle or something like that. That is my own ethics. And like attracts like will reflect in that. Spiritualism teaches us is about our own morality, our own way that we interact with the world, interact with each other, and how actually we interact with ourselves. Because if you've got maybe a strained state of mind because I hate myself, and I only feel good when I'm doing X, Y, Z. When I hear that, all the bells go off. Because if you only feel good when you're doing X, Y, Z within spiritualism, then why aren't you feeling good when you're not doing it?
That's right. And the other thing is, when you're sitting, depending on what type of circle it is, if you're sitting in a development circle to learn mediumship, your tutor can give you the tools, can give you the exercises, but at the end of the day, the only person that can do it is you, putting the work in. And that doesn't mean emulating anybody else. I mean, you can go and see a fantastic medium. I go and watch Laurie, and people think, oh, I wish I could work like that. But you can't.
Nobody's ever said that.
You can only, you are spirit, you're part of spirit. So you are what's, as spirit made you. So you need to work with what spirit is giving you and the gifts you've got. But the only way to work at becoming a medium, and as hard as it is to work on yourself and work at it for yourself.
And also, I would say, if you're going to go into a circle, don't go in there hell-bent on becoming XYZ. Go in there to find out what you are capable of doing.
That's right.
Because I had somebody say to me, and I know I've quoted this before, I've been sat in circle for 10 years and my mediumship's not improving. What's going on? I said, well, whoever said you're a medium?
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, it's about self-awareness. When we first come in, we don't necessarily know what we want to do. Somebody might come in and they might be an amazing healing medium, philosophy medium, evidential medium, teaching medium, homemaker,
painter, artist, musician, inspirational.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Everybody is different and everybody's on their own path. Even though we are all connected, we're all unique.
Yeah, and it's like any clock. Any clock has got cogs from that big to that big. But without one of those cogs, no matter what the size, the clock doesn't work. And if we're not going to be a noteworthy evidential medium, physical medium, transfiguration medium, composer, artist, about 10,000 pianists, only one has the potential to be a concert pianist. It doesn't mean that the 9,999 others are no good. It's just that is the way, a way of life, and this is what spiritualism is about. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing you wrong, Leila. Good evening. Do spirit keep?
I think it's Leah.
Leah, thank you. I did that with somebody's name. I kept saying it so wrong for weeks, and they corrected me, and I thought, oh my goodness, because whatever I said didn't sound at all wrong. But anyway, moving on rapidly. Do spirit attend key events in our lives? For example, will my mum be present when I give birth? Was she there for my wedding? You first.
Well, my grandmother was there. She passed when I was 13, but she's been there for every milestone in my life. Every single event. And since my parents have passed, I am very aware of them around special occasions, but not just special occasions, other occasions. If there's a family member ill or somebody's upset, you can really feel them come in. I mean, there's always signs that they've been there. It's just, as I said earlier, of recognising them sometimes.
Yeah.
But let's face it, if they like to attend those events when they were this side, why wouldn't they attend them from the other side?
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, with this year just seems been particularly prevalent, that a lot of people are saying, well, I know I felt whoever around me, why would that be? And I'm sorry, you know me.
They love you.
Yeah, because it's bloody Christmas. You sent your thoughts out to them. They love you, so where else are they going to be? We need to shift our awareness and our understanding that spirit can only talk to us through somebody who's going to be stood up on a platform or sat there at a table bedecked by crystals and purple tablecloths and I don't know, losing the will to live. Spirit is us and we are spirit. And of course your mum's going to be there. All right, I do. All right, calm down.
I thought you'd
been doing this 3 years. All right, love, behave. Bloody hell. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah, of course your mum's going to be there. I understand where you are, and I understand that you want the evidence or the confirmation of things that you're feeling or the evidence given by somebody else. And that's fine. This is one of the beauties of the philosophy and the religion of spiritualism, that we do have that opportunity not only to walk the walk, but talk the talk as well.
Yeah.
We can talk about this and then demonstrate it. The demonstration is to give you a key, because we can. I have a house rule with private sittings that you only get one every 6 months.
I have the same rule.
Yeah, Yeah, because otherwise people can become reliant on it. You have that message, you have that communication, you have that, the nuggets, the little something that's said that may seem inconsequential to everybody else, but to you it means the world. And that feeling, we can't beat it. It's a euphoria that comes through you. A week down the line, that euphoria has backed away. Now, what is a concern of evidential mediums is a bit like that's a harsh word. It is a dependency.
Yes.
On having that euphoria again. So going back to see a medium or going back to see another medium and keep doing that. When actually Spirit's message is, we're here, trust us, we're here, sit with us. Open your mind to us, learn how to meditate, learn how to be at peace with yourself, and we'll be there. And look for the little signs, and don't brush it off with, it's a coincidence. So just, when I have these moments, I giggle. I just find them so funny because something will happen. I just go, yeah, fine, absolutely, thank you. So, darling, yes, your mum is only a thought away, and she will be like that forever. All right? She will be like, you felt her touch your hand and you've dismissed it. Your mum is there, front and centre. And of course she's going to be there when she gives birth. My goodness, you try and keep a granny away from the newborn grandchild. Oh my God. You need tanks and an armoured division to do that.
Quite right, too.
Of course she's going to be there. All right. If you want to talk a little more on this, I understand where you are at the moment, my darling. I will quite happily have a chat with you. Drop us a message and we'll arrange something. Lee Chu. I thought she said she hadn't gotten confidence. She was typing away like a good one tonight.
Yeah.
I grew up in a multicultural country, Malaya, in a Buddhist family, married a Catholic, and now embracing spiritualism. All different, but all the same teaching. Harks back to the part of the conversation we were saying about spiritualism enhancing other religions and philosophies. Maria, I don't know this lady.
I do. She's a lovely lady, yes.
All right, so you know one in the room, I know the rest. Right, don't you stop crowing, all right. It's important the student knows how to close down too. We live in a physical world, so being open all the time isn't necessary and shouldn't happen. Agree 100% there, and that is again part of that educational route that we've got to be looking for. When it used to be back in the day, when the churches were full and standing, conversation we were having earlier, you would open up your church, and if you didn't have 70, 80, 90 in, you knew you were doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, we're glad if, they go, good crowd tonight, I've got 12 in. You just think, okay, all right, that's fine. But back in the day, for a home circle or church circle, I believe at that time as well, you would be invited into a circle. Whereas today's energy is very much, I'm coming to sit in your circle. And you're like, actually, yeah, you know what, that's a really good idea. Or actually, I think you probably need to sit with the healers for a while.
That's right. I think as well, if you're running a circle, you should have the confidence to be able to do that as well, because some people it's not appropriate for them always to sit in a circle. One of the things Marie says is about closing down. Yes, I do think it's very important. I don't want to know what the person queuing the checkouts thinking, or the person at the bus stop, but it should be but it should be made.
My psychic side, not my spiritual side.
But it should be made easy. For me, I just thank Spirit, ask them to close it down for the time being, and it's very short. But when I was in the development group, the tutor I had used to use 7 cat flaps, and by the time she'd finished, I'd lost the will to live. So I think, yes, it's important to close down, but it needs to be simple, and also the need to thank the spirit world as well.
Yeah, gratitude. Again, there, you've highlighted what I'm talking about, because it's my show. Just remember that.
Get in.
You've highlighted something there, which we were talking about, is the educational side. It's important you close down. All right, now 95% of the people in the room tonight, and probably 75% of the people watching this going forward, will understand that. What about the 25% who don't? And this is where we've got to really work and go back to what I call 1.0 with our teachings with people.
Yes.
Because we do, we become not complacent, but we exist at our level.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking and people are sat there nodding, and then if you actually really look at them and you go, yeah, you're nodding, but you haven't got a clue.
You don't know
what is the mechanics of closing down? Why is it important to close down? How do you close down? More important, how do you open up? We take you through and really explain those processes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I'm not accusing you of this, Maria, but not relying on the jargon.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you got to open up. Oh, you got to close down.
But it needs.
It's sort of like, well, actually, no, take people through the entire process, whether they've been sitting for years or not, matters not.
I know, as I say, I know Marie, and I know she's been a working medium for a lot of years, and she sat for, as she said, for a long time before that as well. I think sometimes there is too much rush to do it.
Yeah.
Too much rush. What is the hurry?
There's the rush, and this is the problem, that we miss out on the education. Marjorie Fry, she was a battle-axe. What she didn't know about spiritualism, you could write on the back of a postage stamp. All right? Sitting in her circle was a complete nightmare. You had to go to services in between sitting in circle.
Yeah.
You had to watch the medium. You had to observe how they are working clairsentiently. You had to write up about their philosophy and what they were talking about. And that's outside of the circle.
Yeah.
And then in circle, whoa, bit tidy, you know, if you made a link when you weren't told to make a link, oh my God, the roof fell in on you. But wow, what a teacher. You know, and again, we can't turn back the clock, but we can certainly look to the past and go, well, okay, what really worked? The generation of the great mediums.
Andrew Jackson Davis, Helena
forward,
Duncan.
Helen Duncan, good example. I'm thinking Gordon Higginson, people like that, all learned in home circles.
Yeah.
They all learned their craft in home circles, and in the home circles, they were disciplined.
Yeah.
A, you're in somebody else's home. B, you had that respect. You were taught that respect, and if you didn't match that respect, you were not invited anymore.
That's right.
And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I am pretty old school and prefer my circles to be by invitation. The circles I did, the last circle I did, which I did for 14 months with a lovely group, for the first 2 weeks it was open, but after that it was a completely closed circle, and it was pointed out very clearly as well about the confidentiality of the circle, because when you work in circle, a lot of personal information comes out, a lot of things, and it should stay within that circle and within the walls of the room that you're working in.
Yeah.
Should never go outside.
Again, you know, when we're looking at setting up circles, it's what sort of circle you're going to have as well. If you get one a trance circle, I can count 6 people that I know who I know have trance ability, but I'm not saying they are going to be trance mediums.
No.
Because we need, in circle environments, people to bring the energy in. We need our batteries in there. And we need people who are going to sit in circle, not to develop, to show off how great they are, but they just love to sit.
And give the energy.
Yeah, they love to sit there, to be in the presence of spirit. They're quite happily, being knowing that they are supplying the energy and seeing one of their own perform something wonderful.
Yeah.
And now they are just a part of that message or that physical mediumship. As the medium, we revere the medium, the person who's making it happen. But for that person making it happen, there's 6 people who sat for a very long length of time. Leslie Flint's circle, they sat with him for donkey's years.
I mean, I sat...
You know Leslie Flint. What about his circle, who sat there week in, week out?
Yeah.
Just to give that energy.
I sat for a long time in a trance circle. Well, I say a long time, 4 or 5 years. And no way would I ever say I was a trance medium, although I loved the circle and I loved the energy. I also sat in physical circle for the same length of time, and I would say the same again.
Yeah.
I loved the energy, and I loved purely just sitting in the circle.
Exactly.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah. And this is the mindset we need to start fostering and bringing back into our movement, because it is sitting in circle is being sold as you will, this will happen, you will, and it's not.
No.
It's not that at all. It's just to sit. I don't like to go na 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 na, but na 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 na. Phil, I like to think spiritualist philosophy changes our mindset from what we want to how we can help others. If we all do that, the world would be transformed. Very true.
Yes, I agree.
Very true. If we want peace in the world, yet our own lives are full of conflict and conflicting emotions. How can you have peace in the world when there's not peace between your ears?
That's right. And this again is about when we're sitting in our own space, in that peace. Even if it's only 5 minutes a day, it's important we find that time and that peace within ourselves.
Yeah. Marion, lovely Marion, greatest of respect for this lady. And this is back to you, Layla. I feel Mum in the spirit world of spirit would have known her grandchild before your child was born, and will draw close to you both.
Yeah, quite agree.
What Marion is saying there, your beautiful daughter on her way to be born is a spirit in a body coming into this world. Your mum is in that world of spirit, and your mum knows the essence, knows the energy of your child to be already. So I know that sounds a bit weird and a bit conflicting, but it's true. It's like, imagine you're on a harbour waiting for a ship to come in, yeah? And your mum is on another harbour on the other side of the ocean, and she's seeing your daughter off on the boat, and you're waiting there for that boat to come in to be united with your daughter. I think that's probably the most simplistic way that I can put it. So yeah, and again, darling, of course your mum's going to be there. Of course she is.
Of course she is.
If you love somebody, you're there. Seriously. Maria Hines was saying, I had a tough teacher, Lillian Hurst.
Well, I never met her when she was on the earth plane, but I was taking a service at Paynton once, and I didn't know who she was. This lady came in, spirit lady, and turned my book over. Said, that's the reading you're using. And I sat there and I thought, okay, I'll go with that. It was only when I got to the mediumship and I gave a message to somebody else, and that person knew exactly who I had.
Yeah.
But she was certainly a no-nonsense lady, and she still is in spirit.
Yeah. I had interesting one last night. We did a dem with 3 wonderful friends of mine, and this guy just walked in, and he was absolutely right. This, that, and I'm thinking, sat there, oh God, that's a bit pushy. And the sitter knew who it was without before I got to the description. Oh yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's definitely him. Just by his mannerism. I said, God, this guy's just jumped in and gone, X-Y, so you do it now. Yes.
Lillian was like that when she came through, yes. Very formidable lady.
Yeah. So, that's an hour gone.
It's gone quick.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it hasn't actually. I've just been over an altered clock. It's
Oh,
about 15 minutes, so I was all up there.
Oh, you are wicked.
Yeah.
He's been telling people he's a home for distressed mediums because I've come to stay this weekend because I need a break.
Carry on like that, you're going to get one. Love.
What, legs?
Yeah, so just to summarise, we have so much opportunity at the moment to reinvigorate our movement.
Yeah.
And one of the ways is through the educational side, about talking with people, having one foot on the ground, you know, not getting caught up in just spirit use our imagination. And sometimes that line between imagination and impinging of spirit can get a little bit blurred. So we really need, we've got a lot of people coming. That's why I said to you when you said about you got a lot of new people coming into the churches.
Are you keeping them?
Exactly, because this is something I hear. Oh yeah, we have loads of new people coming in. You go there 3 months later and none of them have stayed. Now, if you were running a church or a centre, you should have that honesty check.
Yeah.
And even to go outside, I was asked once to go to a church to give my thoughts on it, which I was very honoured by. You know, what is just getting another opinion or actually sitting and looking at what you're doing. Are you still going down the orthodox route of come in, sit down, get a message, put your pound in your plate and go home? Or are you creating a living environment?
Yeah, and it's so important when people come through our doors. And I know it's without saying here at Paul that people feel welcome. The people on the door are there to welcome people when they come in so that they feel included.
Yeah.
And if there is their first visit and they're a bit shy, somebody's there and says, well, come in. You know, this is what happens. You know, sit where you like or sit over there or whatever. But that welcome is so important because it makes such a big difference to the people coming in. And especially for new people, if it's taken a bit of courage to step over that threshold because of your own upbringing, you need to feel welcome where you're going.
And also constantly being aware of that fact that everybody walks through that door, there's a reason.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with our movement, the biggest percentage of that reason is through bereavement. You know, so showing that kindness. We do something here, and I'm sure a lot of other places do that as well. We had a lovely young girl come in a couple of weeks ago, and you could just see the nerves. You didn't need to be a medium to see the nerves. And I sat with Sarah.
Yeah.
And I asked Sarah, would you mind? She's brand new. Oh yeah, fine. And so she's not sat on her own.
Yeah.
She had somebody to talk to, and you know.
And these things are important, really important.
Hugely. But that looking after people when they come into the churches, then when you've got the platform up and running, it is presenting an educated view of spiritualism.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it yourself, that's absolutely fine. Get somebody in who can. I know Phil, who's in the room, he takes discussion groups for the lovely Yanis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, everybody loves Yanis. Yeah, young man. Yeah, that's it. All the cougar spiritualists coming out of the woods.
Oh, I haven't got the energy for that. I've only got time for spirit these days.
But yeah, well, and that's a great collaboration.
Yeah.
You know, there are things, because we do tend to, within our churches and centres, we come out with that line about, oh, they wouldn't like that. I'm like, right, number one, who is they?
Mhm.
Number two, have you ever asked they?
Yeah.
Number three, have you ever tried it
Mhm.
to see
And
what happens?
I hopefully hope in all the churches we're moving away from, we've done it this way for 50 years and we're not changing.
Yeah.
This is the way it's always been done. And I'm hoping that all of the churches are moving away from that.
Churches and centres are going to have a really difficult environment coming up, really difficult. I think we've got to look at our whole structure of our movement, our whole structure. You know, if you insist that you have a committee of 9 people when you've got a church with your attendance of 12, good luck with that.
Yeah, because you're going to have conflict.
Yeah,
probably.
And not only that, in the conflict side, where are you going to get those 12? You're going to bung anybody in there because you need 12 people. Where actually you should have that freedom of choice to say, well, listen, I can get 3 people who work really well together and we can delegate out the other jobs, which is the way we work here.
Also, you know, sometimes people with the best one in the world will volunteer for things in the churches with all the best intentions, but they don't have the experience to do the jobs. Given time, yes, they'll find it. But that makes it hard as well. It makes it hard for them and it makes it hard for the rest of the people they've got to work with.
Yeah, but also, you know, we have this, again, this is what I'm talking about, the structures of our churches and centres where you have to have a big committee. It can then also become insular, that only the, you know, you can't even go in and dust unless one of the committee members in there. God forbid you go in the kitchen and wash up a cup.
Oh, I've been there. Had a real telling off before now somewhere.
Exactly. You know, and if you involve your congregations, a lot of people want to do something to give back. They don't want to sit on a committee. They don't want to be tied down to a meeting every month or 2 months and debating the next bloody tea cosy. But they're quite happy to come in and man the door.
Yeah.
Look after the money side from that. Go out in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Tidy up. Come in on a cleaning day. Come in on a gardening day.
Yeah. There's a
because they want to give something back, but they don't want the commitment.
That's right.
So you've got that side. So you've got a willing band of volunteers there, but they're being stymied because you've got to be on the committee. And we've got to have 12 on our committee. So what about Alice? Oh, we mean the psycho down the road who's just got out of Belmarsh. Well, yeah, she's willing. Oh, okay, put her in. Because they're being forced into coercing people. Well, you're having it. I mean, being coerced on the committees, and actually it shouldn't be. It should be a joy. Every church and centre should be a joy.
It should be a pleasure and a joy every time you walk through the doors.
Unless you're on. Yeah. I'll get a slap in a minute.
I'll wait till he's offline and then I'll slap him.
I'm staying online all night now. Anyway, Ayrisha, thank you. Interesting night. A little bit around the houses. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Absolutely. Leah, my darling, that was a very, very... Pam! Hello, Pam! Yeah, just drop me a note sometime if you wish to talk. All right? I will make the time for you, my darling. Lee! Well, I don't want to talk to Lee. I didn't get any of her in the Malayan buffet.
Oh, she's an excellent cook.
Yeah, rub it in, all right.
And somebody that has gone over and above when there's events on at the church to supply food. Even a couple of years ago, she cooked umpteen dishes for Christmas Day so that they could open the church on Christmas Day.
Is she on the committee?
She's not now. She's stepped down, but that's because she's hoping to go to Malaysia.
She stepped down. End of story. Confidentiality. But she is, again, a good example of what I'm saying about there are so many people in our churches and centres who will gladly
Yeah,
give a little bit of their time
yeah. There was a couple at Newton
and
Abbot
allow it.
that came in all through lockdown and did the garden very quietly and just kept the garden. And they're a lovely, lovely couple, but they don't want to sit on a committee.
Yeah.
They don't want to give the commitment.
Actually,
They can't give the commitment.
Think about it. What we've been talking about, sitting in circle.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a platform medium. I just want to be with the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are saying energetically that exactly the same thing. I don't want to be on a committee. I just want to help my church or my centre because it gives joy. Interesting. Anyway, everybody, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you. Don't forget, tomorrow our service is streamed live online for you to watch in the comfort of your own homes, wherever you may be. Got a right ropey old medium on tomorrow, some Lawrence Saville or something like that. Don't book him much. I know why. So that's 11 o'clock GMT, live on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We will be back next Saturday with another Lyceum at 7 o'clock. So we look forward. Whatever you're doing in the meantime, have fun. Enjoy it. We weren't put here to be miserable. We make it miserable. So do you know what? Somebody's nasty to you, laugh it off.
Good night, everybody.
Night.